So, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Character Crockpot. I'm geekydoom, and I'm joined again by
Caitlin.
And today we're going to be making a character for our friend KingNerdly.
Yeah.
And we're going to be making Eva Monroe, who is a young girl who can transform into a Valkyrie by speaking a power word.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to tell us a little bit more about that.
Alright, so the description we were sent in by KingNerdly was Eva Monroe is a 14-year-old 14-year-old girl, high school bound to a wheelchair. Born to an abusive father, it was by his hand that she was dealt the blow that took away her ability to walk. She earned his wrath by standing up to protect her mother, and it was that act of sheer bravery that caught the attention of the goddess Freya. She bestowed upon Eva the power of the noble Valkyrie to help protect the defenseless. When danger arises, Eva just calls out Freya's name, and as she is transformed from a 14-year-old girl to a strong female Norse warrior, the superhero called the Silver Valkyrie.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's dive right into that. So, is it Eva or Ava? What do we think? Eva? I'm going to go with Eva for now, but KingNerdly, if you're on, correct me if I'm incorrect on that. And so I looked up some of what Valkyrie might have for powers on powerlisting.fandom.com. So what I have here, I'm going to read out loud. Capabilities. The user with this ability either is or can transform into a Valkyrie, which is exactly what we want to build out here. One of a host of female figures who decide who dies and wins in battle. Selecting among those who die in battle, the Valkyries bring their chosen to the afterlife of the slain. Valkyries have abilities relating to their duties as choosers of the fate of slain warriors. They can sense when a warrior is about to die, so we have death sense. Arrange that this warrior will die, so I picture that as something like interrupting the fabric of fate or twisting the fate of a warrior and how things are supposed to be, changing that. Deferring the death so that the warrior can survive to grow in skill.
So healing?
Healing or even just the ability to stave off death altogether in temporary. I'm pretty sure there's a way that we can build that out that's cost effective. And then also the power to take the warrior's soul with them. So the power to channel and summon a soul. That's something I think we can absolutely do.
Cool.
And then, of course, as shield maidens, they are skilled fighters with several lifetimes worth of experience. And I was also thinking about the power of flight. What do you think, Kate?
I think that's definitely good, since most times Valkyries are depicted flying in some form, either on a horse or with wings.
They are depicted with wings.
Occasionally.
That's fantastic.
Sometimes they're just on horses. The horses don't generally have wings, but they can fly.
What are we thinking for Eva's character for this? Because that's going to determine how I build the character sheet, whether I'm adding a companion horse or I'm giving her wings directly.
I think I see the horses in the more traditional forms of, like, the depictions of the Valkyries. So maybe a horse companion that can fly?
A horse companion that can fly. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. I haven't done that before in Hero Lab, but I'm sure we're going to be able to figure that out.
Yeah. And I'm going to be drawing, I'm going to try and draw Eva and the Silver Valkyrie in the same piece. So we can have the regular form and the hero form.
That's really cool. I'm excited to see that.
So we're just going to start with the base sketch.
We have KingNerdly in the chat. Hello, KingNerdly. How are you doing?
Hiya!
So for me, I don't know, after complications, powers are the most costly in this game for building out, because this game, unlike D&D, this game you purchase everything with a pool of power points. So you're buying all of your skills, all of your powers, all of your feats, all of your ability points by spending these power points. And to increase each of those other attributes costs a variable amount of power points from the pool that you're given the campaign's level. I'm going to do level 10 because that's an average starting level. You see a lot of like Freedom League level stories, and a lot of modules are written for power level 10.
Okay.
So we'll start out there. That gives us 150 power points to spend. So what I like to do after complications is hop in and purchase the powers next, because often, especially with grand characters like this, that can be very costly. Oh, we're doing good, I think, KingNerdly. So far, anyway. Hopefully, we can bring this character up to what your vision of her is. Okay, power complications. We'll start with that first. So,
Well, she's a 14-year-old girl. So, I mean, there's a lot of complications that come with being a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to put that in the category of responsibility because that in its own way
School.
is... school,
Education
right?
is important.
School, chores, family responsibilities, everything that comes with that. And all the responsibilities that come with building a future, basically, right? Cool. That's absolutely going to be one I think we have there. I'm also going to give power loss as a feat.
What's power loss do?
Well, power loss, as the name suggests, means that there's a trigger that can cause you to lose your powers, or that your powers, in effect, become disabled in the game. Think Kryptonite to Superman. Very similar concept. In this instance, it would be the power word was spoken, and the Valkyrie transforms back down into the Eva Monroe form.
Oh, okay.
The power word is not in effect. Eva is powerless. Like Shazam. It's a similar concept to Shazam in that regard, right? Shazam yells Shazam and turns from Billy Batson into the Shazam character. Or Captain Marvel, depending on how old school you are in the comics. And responsibility. He's in the life of a 14-year-old girl. School.
Just looking up
family,
pictures of
etc.
the wheelchairs just so I know what they're supposed to look like.
KingNerdly, I see that you are in the chat. What do you think of for those as complications? Let us know. I hope you get the chance to play her. That would be very exciting. Let's see here. Yeah, that's exactly it. So, first power I'm going to give is Death Sight. As reads here, you can perceive those about to perish, seeing their life force as a kind of life which fades as their condition progresses from dying towards death. So effectively, as the Valkyrie description said, you can see those who are about to become slain on the battlefield.
Cool. That could be useful in a game.
Oh, without a doubt, right? I mean, how often have we seen in our games alone characters on the battlefield not knowing whether they're alive or dead? An NPC maybe that gets knocked unconscious by an enemy's attack, etc.
She's gonna clock me like, they're good.
Yep.
Not dead yet.
Or, maybe it's the other thing. Maybe they are dead. You'll know. And knowledge is power.
Yeah. I'm picturing the Valkyrie as like a extremely tall.
Ooh, I like that.
So like superhumanly tall sort of thing. That strong Viking warrior vibe.
Right on. We have approval from KingNerdly on the complications.
Woo!
I think I'll do the minion next, right? Actually, I wonder, but the guy is... Hang on. No, okay. Yep, perfect. Great. So we have Summon Steed.
Whoop. That big horse.
Yep. And then we're going to go over here to the minion and we're going to add it back. Let's get the minion complications. That's hilarious.
It's a horse.
Yeah, and that's great, right? So I'm going to give the minion honor and responsibility.
And it's a horse. Is there a complication for I'm just an animal?
Well, I think so. This can add a whole new element to it, right? Because I imagine that these horses have some semblance of incredible intelligence, right? These are war horses; they're trained for combat.
Celestial war horse isn't that?
Exactly. So here's what I'm thinking, right? So first complication, honor. They're raised to serve the Valkyrie. They are honorable in that regard. They're honorable to the society in which they were raised. Then responsibility. The responsibility is to the rider, to the people, and to themselves. We've got some other powers to spend here, so I'm going to get the flight power going.
Hell yeah.
And let's make this horse fly.
So, like, the horses can fly, but I have never seen them depicted with wings. They're just horses that can fly.
See, I don't know why. Maybe it's the Mandela effect. I've always thought that's where the Pegasi, like...
The Pegasus is more of a Greek thing, I'm pretty sure. It's a Greek myth.
Well, that's cool.
At least I've only ever heard it, like, mythologically in, like, relation to, like, Perseus and, like...
Gotcha.
Was it Perseus or was it Poseidon's other kid?
I am so weak on Greco-Roman mythology, I could not even tell you. I defer to your expertise on this.
I have no expertise on mythology. I just watch a lot of videos on it.
So here's a question for you, though, right? So with you and your video knowledge, how fast do one of these ponies go?
At least as fast as a car. I'd say maybe 100 miles an hour at least.
100 miles an hour. We can rock that.
That's
how about 120?
120? Sure.
Sweet.
Like, it needs to be able to go as fast as a car at least, or else what's the point of the flying horse? You might as well just have a car.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense.
I guess it can't go vertically. The car can't go up.
Let's see.
Still, it's not as cool.
You know what? I'm gonna give this pony a strike attack. Because it can kick.
This horse was made for war.
They're made for war. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, 3 ranks. Perfect. We'll set that close attack as the strike for strength-based damage. Oh, and there we go. Cool. So it's got strike maxed out. That's one thing we've given it at this point. I'm at 17 power points spent out of 45 for the minion. And now I'm going to boost its attributes. So we'll give it some of that strength. And actually, strength is going to dip it up for its strike, so I'm not going to worry about that. But let's make them smart.
Celestial horse, know what up?
I'm imagining a gorgeous presence. So for anybody who hasn't played Mutants and Masterminds before, you can think about presence as an analog to, like, charisma.
Yeah. It's how, like, pretty you are, pretty much, if you think of charisma like that.
Right. Presence is a force of personality, persuasiveness, leadership, ability, and attractiveness.
How hot do you want your Mutants and Masterminds character to be?
Well, yeah, if you want to boil it down in that way, absolutely. Give it some stamina. I want this guy to be able to take a hit, because as you pointed out, it is a war horse.
Yeah. Your war horse isn't going to do you much good in a war if it gets knocked out really quick. Now it's just a dead horse. And no one needs a dead horse in a battle.
I'll throw a couple points down on persuasion. The logic on this is a horse where if it gets separated in combat, it needs to be able to scan the battlefield, find out where its rider is, especially if the rider's in peril.
Did you say persuasion?
Not persuasion, perception.
Okay. Thinking, who is this horse convincing?
Hey guys, I need to go save my rider. Is that alright with you?
Well, hi guys, I have to go for a bit. My rider needs a ride to the mall.
And then we'll bust up some athletics.
What have we done to this horse's voice?
Oh, I'm just an average Pegasus. I'm helping my gal Eva out on the battlefield. In my mind, that's what all horses sound like.
whatever weird reality you're living in where horses have that accent. All right.
Trust me, I'm a delight at fairs. All right. Let's get some more of these powers going here. I'll have to make that power, I think, and that's going to be delightful. Well, first, let's grab the time power that we're going to grab.
Time power? What's the time power for again?
Well, that's going to... I'm imagining you're taking somebody out of their time stream when you're delaying death. You're really just pausing time on what would naturally progress over the body to allow them to die. That was part of that description that we read.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So I'm thinking it's a way to be able to say, okay, you're not dying yet, here. And now you're going to get a chance to live longer, to become more powerful, to build up skill.
Okay.
Unless you can think of a better way for us to do that. That's sort of where I'm at with it, though.
Yeah. I trust your judgment on that call.
That's a dangerous thing, but I appreciate it.
I trust you're calling a lot of things that might be considered dangerous because I don't know better.
Let's see here. Yeah. Perfect. Time freeze. You trap a target in a bubble of stopped time.
Just like, I'll put you right here so you don't die right now.
KingNerdly says that maybe she and Lady Sif were friends and that she named the horse after her. I like that. That's really cool.
Lady Sif?
Lady Sif. Lady Sif's one of my favorites.
Who's Lady Sif?
Oh my gosh. So, well, have you seen the Thor movie? She's another Asgardian.
Okay.
She's one of the Asgardians that you see fighting with the warriors at the beginning of the Thor movie.
Oh, she's that one. Okay.
She's that one. So let's grab that time freeze. Let's bank out some points in that. That can also be used as a combat thing. So, right, like in terms of roleplay, you can be like, yes, I'm going to create a time bubble. But then the Valkyrie can also create a time bubble around enemies, too. Which would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Alright, we're definitely building this thing out the way that we would want it to be. So,
yeah.
Let's see what I have in terms of options for life.
I am currently, I'm currently doing the clothing outfit.
Yeah, that's not what we want. What do you think so far, Cait?
I'm liking it.
Yeah. I'll check the power profiles book and see. I think there's a way that we can do this that's built out already. The power profiles book, if you guys want to check that out, it's an awesome resource. Has a lot of pre-built powers in it. Just a real time saver. The way that Mutants and Masterminds works in 3rd edition is you're purchasing a lot of these powers. You're building them yourself using these PowerPoints. Highly recommend this resource. And there is a whole section here on life powers, which is what we're looking at.
Got anything?
Nothing's jumping out immediately, but that's okay. We can build this if we have to. There's no issue with that. I think... Oh, there's no scroll here. I kind of like that. I think we can make that work. The title doesn't work, but we can get rid of that. So Cosmic Grasp is going to be gone, and we're going to call this Soul Capture. What the soul capture really does is the ability to summon the soul from the person's body and we carry them away would be to be able to make them so that they're impaired, they're unable to move, they're completely immobilized, so that you could remove them from the battlefield. And that's what this is going to represent. So first degree of failure on a saving throw, they become impaired and vulnerable. Second degree, they become defenseless and immobilized. I absolutely think that's perfect for what we're looking at here. I also love that it's resisted by strength as the opposing saving throw. Because you're really talking about capturing as like warriors in like an Asgardian sense even. Strength was everything. I love this.
Alright, I got the base sketch down. Time to move on to the line art.
We'll pull up a...
That going.
So I'm building out the spear based on the spear template.
Alright.
Powering it up a little bit. And here's a curious question. This is an entity that's divinely powerful, right?
Yes.
Do we want to, or should we consider, giving this entity some kind of magic or enhanced power on the spear, or should this just be a regular spear in a badass's hand?
I think it should be a magical spear, because that's just more fun.
Alright, I mean, we can totally do that. I mean, the obvious thing is to say returning, but that's a little too Mjolnir, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if we want to go that route. That seems a little cliche. Useful as all hell, especially if you're throwing the spear in combat. I mean, could you picture somebody leaping off of the flying horse and just hurling the spear?
We're not even having to leap off, just throwing it from the back of the flying horse.
Oh yeah, totally. There's cinematic value there. I don't know.
I like the She-Ra vibe I'm getting from this character, especially like the new She-Ra they have going on.
I have to catch up. I have not.
I am a very big fan of She-Ra.
Cait, what do you think of massive knockback?
Oh, that works.
You not only hit hard, but deliver considerable momentum with your punches. In this case, it'll be our spear strike. If you successfully hit the target, and the target fails a strength check against your effect rank, they are flung back a distance equal to your effect rank minus their mass rank. In other words, it's knockback. You hit them with a spear and they go flying. And I'm just picturing, like, that's going to represent the badassery that I think we're trying to cultivate here.
Sure. Yeah, that works.
Sweet. Heck yeah. Totally. So we have the ability to sense death, we have the ability to capture the soul, we have the ability to freeze time on a warrior so that the warrior has the chance to become stronger. We have the mighty spear, we have the ability to summon the horse magically and have that as an entity that is with Valkyrie. What we lack at this point is some kind of defensive power.
Well, Valkyries don't really have shields, so I think that'd give her some kind of defense, right?
Like a shield and a spear? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're shield maidens, so like
totally.
You think I'd assume that a shield maiden would have like a shield.
No, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. We should totally do that.
I mean, like, it could just be like a name, which is totally fine. However, a shield would definitely help in combat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll say large shield for this. Shields are handheld barriers. Wielders can interpose between them and attacks to provide additional protection.
Interpose.
Yeah.
Interpose.
They generally provide a bonus to active defenses. So, as you'd expect, right? And like the equivalent is to say shields increase your armor class in Dungeons and Dragons, right?
They do.
It's the same concept here. It's going to increase your active defenses.
And these feet look all kinds of messed up.
Let's add another ability here, though.
What you adding?
I want to see. I'm just playing right now, really.
You just messing around over there?
I am. I have a bit more in the budget than I thought I would have at this point. We're only 60 points in.
Beef her up.
Yeah, exactly, right? So
Beef.
it's like...
Beef.
Beef. It's what's for dinner. I'm thinking about adding some additional bonus defenses. Basically, magic shield.
Shield and magic shield. Double down, baby.
Yeah, why not, right? So we'll grab feature.
Question, is this girl a Claremont student? Or is she just like solo hearing it and all the heroes in the Freedom League just assume that this is a fully grown woman?
I think whether this is a Claremont student or not is dependent upon the game that it gets entered into, right? Because that's all roleplay within game.
But she's also a power level 10, which would put her not at a Claremont level.
I think it's the same concept in my mind as like Shazam is not at the Teen Titans level. Shazam can go toe-to-toe with Superman. So in my mind, this is Valkyrie rising up and Valkyrie going toe-to-toe with Centauria.
I dig it.
Which is why I'm like, the defense, let's boost those up, right?
She needs to be able to take a punch from Centauria.
And deliver one back, hopefully, right? Like, that'd be the ideal.
I mean, like, sure, like, taking punches is all great, but if you can't do anything back, then, like, you're just a wall at that point, and walls don't last very long.
Well, KingNerdly said that's what she said, but I don't know what he said that's what she said too, so...
What's the reference?
I missed the joke, oh no.
Maybe it's like the giving and taking of punches was the joke?
Oh, a give and take? I don't know. I added returning to the shield.
Oh, are you Captain America?
No, this is way better, right? I mean, I could go completely out of left field and give her astral projection.
Project to the other plane.
Or like...
I could see it working.
The souls, right?
Yeah. The astral projects specifically to the afterlife.
Then you can speak with the souls of the fallen and carry them along. Yeah. I might give that as a generic power, not as someone that's associated on the shield. But that's a good idea. There we are. Yep. The shield, deflect. You can actively defend for characters other than yourself. There's some on there already. Though, I don't know. Ooh, deflect projectile. Boom. That's money right there. Okay, cool. Add that. We have the shield. We have a Hulk. Beef, it's what's for dinner. That's where that's what she said joke came from.
That was
now I completely understand.
That was a while ago.
No, I love it though. That's awesome.
A good joke. You got us.
You got me anyway. Not that that's hard to do. I'm an easy person to make laugh.
Yuck, yuck.
Grab large shield. We'll grab a spear. And we'll grab massive knockback. Okay. I'm going to toss some points in close combat here to boost that up.
Jeremy, as what I said earlier about, like, is she like a Claremont student? So she's not Claremont. Is the Freedom League aware this is a whole child?
Well, again, I mean, it's like, it depends on the story that's being told and who the game master is, right? If I end up game mastering, that might be a thing that needs to get discussed immediately. Some game masters might be like, there's not even a Freedom League in my world, there's not even a Claremont in my world, and maybe this is one of the first heroes that's arising, right? Or it could be that, like, just a bunch of different situations. I
Point
think
of
that's
conflict.
entirely situational.
And a point of conflict for the game, like,
Yeah.
we're all Freedom League level, and one of our teammates is a child. Shouldn't you be in school?
It's like, at one point, the Justice League didn't know that Shazam was Billy Batson, right? And that became an interesting discovery for them when he transformed back and they found out, hey, this person that's been fighting beside us is like 12.
It's like, whoa, that's... Social services is calling.
That can cause its own level of, intrigue and storytelling. Yeah, intimidation for sure. We'll toss a couple points in there.
I'm imagining her, like, somewhere in the range of, like, 8 feet tall. That's where my heart is telling me.
I love everything about that.
Like, she's big, she's muscular, she's 8 feet tall, and she has a spear. Like, it just seems right, you know?
Gonna throw a improved critical up on that spear, by the way.
Just, if it hurts even worse.
Yep.
What's improved critical do? Does that, like, bump, like, the DC?
Yeah. So, increases your critical threat range with a particular attack by 1, meaning that you can score a critical hit, normally only a 20 on the d20.
Yeah.
For every point you take into this advantage, it increases that window. So the first time you take it, you strike a critical between 19 and 20 on an attack roll. The next time it's 18 through 20, and so on and so forth as you put more points into it.
Kind of like the fighter's improved critical, where they can crit on a 19.
It does reach a max level at 16. So there is an upper
They're
limit.
cutting you off.
Yeah.
If
So
you
it's not
put
like,
too many points, eventually you're just going to be like, I crit if I roll higher than a 10.
It's like, guys, I roll a critical on any die roll that is between 1 and 20 on the d20.
And you're like, well, now hold on. At that point, I'd have to start getting, like, scaling expensiveness.
Sorry.
Or else that would just be unreasonable.
And then that's good. So click that out of there. I added it twice by accident. I'm going to go in here and add a couple more points into there. I'm thinking we'll take it 4 times.
So that puts the crit at what?
So that puts the crit around 16 to 20.
She's a good warrior.
She's a good
She doesn't have to
warrior.
roll well to hit you.
And that's the whole point, right? It's like she's a mighty warrior. Not one to be trifled with.
You wonder how it took the Justice League so long to figure out that Shazam was actually a 10-year-old.
There's a really cool animated feature that I would recommend if you like animated movies, if that's up your alley at all.
I'm a fan of animation, yes.
There's I forget the exact name of it. I have it where Superman and Shazam actually they fight each other.
Oh.
That's one of the core pieces.
Oh,
of plot
no.
in that movie.
Superman's not going to be happy when he finds that it's a 10-year-old he just beat up.
It's really interesting. I definitely recommend it.
What's it called?
I cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head for the life of me right now. Probably because I'm on a stream right now. That's just how these things
Pressure.
go.
Everyone's watching us.
But
Stage fright.
so just to go over some of the other advantages I've grabbed here. Grabbing move by action, so you can move before and after an action. Grabbed power attack, so you can exchange your bonus to hit to increase the DC that the opponent has to roll versus your damage. And then quick draw, so that this awesome set of sword or spear and shield can be rapidly drawn by our heroine as a free action.
She's going to kill you, and she's going to kill you quickly.
Exactly. So I think...
Oh, yeah, you said Superman and Shazam fight? Knowing what little I know of Superman as someone who doesn't like actively watch a lot of superhero content, because it's just not really my jam currently. I imagine he didn't take that very well to finding out, oh no, I just beat up a middle schooler.
I mean, I don't want to give everything away, but yeah, it did not go well.
No one enjoys beating up what you assume is a grown man and then finding out, oh no, I'm old enough to be his dad. Conflict.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Yeah.
Imagine the stress of being a 10-year-old on the Justice League, and you're strong enough to go toe-to-toe with Superman, so everyone's just like, Shazam! what do we do? And you're a 10-year-old who doesn't know how taxes work yet. So you're just like, good justice.
So KingNerdly has informed us that the movie, and thank you so much, is Superman Shazam: The Return of Black Adam.
Oh, dang.
Also, The Rock is playing Black Adam, which I think is one of the most perfect casting choices I've heard of in a long time.
I like The Rock's acting.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoy it.
You know what I loved him in? It tickled me? Was I loved him as Maui.
I adored him as Maui.
Right?
That was just a lovely time.
So actually, I'm going to toss up some points into stamina.
During the song "You're Welcome," I was like, thank you, Maui. Genuinely, thank you.
Right?
That's how he gets you. That silky voice. Just turns you to pudding.
Pudding?
Pudding?
Have you seen Birds of Prey yet?
I have not, but I'm interested.
Oh.
I'm liking how the superhero movies are coming out, so I'm thinking about getting into some newer superhero content.
It's not your traditional superhero movie. I loved it. Loved the heck out of it.
We're getting a note.
So, Hazel Half-Blood asks in the chat, when do we normally stream? We normally stream Sunday nights, just like this. It's a variable time when we start. That's because life. But we try to aim for starting around 6:30, somewhere between 6:30 and 7 every time. We've been consistently able to start by 7 every time.
Yeah. But we will try for a bit later, for earlier if we can, but most of the time 7 o'clock's where we end up.
Yeah, let's run over to here.
Just trying to make sure everything's set up, the audio's good, that kind of stuff, you know? We want to give the best experience.
Absolutely do.
I do adore Shazam as a concept, and by extension this character as a concept, because there's just something inherently kind of funny of this child is extremely powerful, but they're also at the same time a small child.
Yep.
Whose biggest worries right now in their lives should be doing their homework, but instead they're just beating up people.
Yep.
And what child doesn't leap at the opportunity to just absolutely wreck someone? Children are small and ready to fight, and that's just how things are.
That is how things are.
Have you ever met an 8th grader? They will throw down in an instant. At the first provocation. That's not a word, I don't think.
KingNerdly says that you love The Rock's acting.
I'm being shamed. Let me enjoy things.
I am.
Alright, fine.
Do
Do
you
you want me to say it, Jeremy?
I want you to say what, Kate? I have no idea where you're going with this.
He's a snack.
Oh man, he's a whole meal.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is an absolute delight.
Yeah, he is.
But I do enjoy his acting. Because in Moana, he was animated. I didn't get to see him for this.
He was animated, and you could hardly tell. Alright, saving the Valkyrie. And I'm going to take a look at this character for the first time in a moment here as an actual character sheet. Nope. And what we're going to do right now. And we're going to change you to print PDF. Save as PDF.
Once again, I'm using the line tool to draw a very long straight line because it's just easier to do that. How heavy is that line? When I say how heavy a line is, there's this thing called line weight, and it affects how thick the line is. That's what it's pretty much doing.
Thick.
Don't patronize me.
Alright. This is, already off the bat, I'm loving it. We're going to ignore the top part here. I need to do the description still, because right now it's saying that this is a 25-year-old male. Ignore that. I'm just looking at the combat abilities to make sure it is what I want it to be.
A 25-year-old man. That's a wrong statement.
Yeah. Not what you want
No, that's not what I
for this. Okay. Defenses look good for what we've got described here. I definitely like those numbers. That's what I want. Initiative of +4. Solid.
Decent enough to get in the fight.
Strength and stamina 7. That's what you want. Strong character. Definitely, like, at least peak of humanity, which is what we're looking at there. Like, that's best in world class. So that's what you want there.
Is this for the transformed form, or is it just for like?
I'm not
the
doing a
base
character
form?
sheet for the standard form. I imagine that the standard form, all of the ability scores would be 0 at that point. But this is all post transformation.
Okay.
Let's see. Strength-based damage, so plus 7 to hit with the spear versus a 28 DC versus damage. Critical on a 15 through 20. So I mean,
It gonna hurt.
it gonna hurt real quick.
All those years of training.
Massive knockback to move an object, or with move object 10, I mean.
She's strong.
Plus 7 with DC 20, so you could also attempt to knock somebody back in that regard.
That works defensively sometimes in a fight.
Yes. Astral projection.
Nothing quite gets your enemy's attention like just shoving them.
Death sight, so you can sense the dead. The large shield, which gives you deflect 4. An enhanced trait for dodge and parry. And the feature of returning.
Whoop.
Soul capture, which allows you to immobilize the person and capture them and take them with you, as the Valkyrie were to do. Really easy when they're already unconscious. So say it's somebody who's completely dead on the battlefield.
Just put them in a bottle.
Spear, with that sweet strength-based damage. Summon Steed, which gives us our minion, which is our flying horse. And then the time freeze, where you can freeze time around somebody so that they can get stronger and build up their power.
Have a quick power nap in the middle of a fight.
Exactly. Improved critical on the spear. Move by action, so you can move before and after your standard action. Power attack, you can trigger attack bonus to increase the DC, which is ridiculous if you think about how powerful that might make in terms of damage, that spear attack. Oof. And then quick draw. You can draw your weapon as a free action.
Nice.
Base movement speeds do not take into consideration the base movement of the minion, so base movement speeds 2 miles an hour or 30 feet per round, very standard for most of your RPGs. Same thing with jump distance and throwing distance. This character is capable of throwing 12 tons 6 feet, 3 tons 30 feet, or 1,600 pounds 120 feet. That's kind of substantial.
That's a lot.
Yeah. The power loss and responsibility complications. And then the minion has been built out here. The minion itself has a strike attack, has a whole almost miniature character sheet in and of itself, and has that flight speed.
Remember from the character description we got, Freya is the one who gave her power.
Yep.
Freya is the Norse goddess of love, I believe. I'm just trying to think about that.
I'm not as familiar with pantheons as I think you are, so I trust you on that.
I have a lot of free time. If I also remember correctly, the Valkyrie served Odin specifically.
Oh. What? You said you're making her tall, right?
Yeah, like 8 feet tall.
8 feet tall. That is amazing. I love it.
She big. No one would
That's
ever.
not what I wanted. I typed in 8 and it went to 8 inches.
She tiny. She's just a little thing. Like Ant-Man, she's strong but she's small. It's
That's
concentrated.
It won't let me do. It won't let me denote 8 feet, so I could just click through. It's probably just me not knowing Hero Lab. I'll be honest there. So KingNerdly, what do you think so far? Is this what you were looking for in a character? Does this match what your desires are? What color hair and eyes were you going with, Cait, in your design?
I was thinking white hair in the Valkyrie form to match like the silver Valkyrie kind of look.
Love that.
I don't know. I'm still thinking about the main form though, because that's going to affect some other features in the Valkyrie form.
Okay.
But definitely the hair is going to be different in the Valkyrie form, and that's.
What do you think of eye color?
Like probably a silverish color for the Valkyrie form as well.
Silver, I like that. Sweet. Now the personal details are actually pretty well fleshed out for this character, so there's not a lot of improv for me.
You got a lot of content.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Lovely.
I've gamed with KingNerdly for years now, and every time we go to character creation, there's always a lot of content for backstory. It's like what you give me, Cait. Just a lot of good juice to work with.
I love my characters, and I will write you books on their lives if you will let me.
As the game master, I love that.
Sometimes you tell me, no thank you, Caitlin. I don't need to know about their entire family, because it's not going to be important. But there's a part of me that goes, but I would like to.
So we have KingNerdly says, Freya also had her own version of Valhalla.
She did.
Valkyries served them both, and he loves the look so far.
I'm glad. I did not know Freya had her own afterlife and her own Valkyries. Okay.
Well, that's a good thing.
When we looked up, we were doing some research on Valkyries themselves. We did not see anything about there being different kinds. It just said they served Odin, they transport people to Valhalla, that kind of thing. I was not aware that there were different kinds. That's fun to know. Does he have a preference on colors for the outfit? Because I'm not set. And there's a part of my heart that wants to make this outfit kind of pink because it's she serves specifically the goddess of love. And Valentine's Day was 2 days ago.
That's the power of love.
But yeah, if he has any preferences, you can let us know in the chat, and I can do that because you didn't have anything written in the character description.
Now, another fun feature, by the way, of Hero Lab is that if you have Hero Lab installed and you're playing your character sheet from Hero Lab, there is a tab that you can use in order to track things like your current amount of damage, things like how many degrees of failure that you've suffered when you get hit.
That'd be so helpful.
Yeah. How many hero points that you have, what conditions are in effect, things like that. Super, super useful for when you're actually running in the game.
That'd be so nice because right now I have to figure out how to edit a PDF or write it on a piece of paper how much damage I've taken. I
highly recommend this software. I mean, everybody should check this out. It's so useful. And again, it's not just for Mutants and Masterminds 3rd Edition. You could use this for pretty much most of the RPGs that are out there.
Or at least the more notable ones, at least for now.
Yeah. KingNerdly says he has no preference in terms of color, wants you to have full freedom in the physical looks. So
he's fine with pink.
He is delving into the Caitlin Day experience.
Lovely. I love when you tell me I can just do whatever I want. It's euphoric.
All right, so I think that's the design. I think that's everything there.
I spent the last few minutes making the design of the armor, which is scale mail, because that was very common among Valkyrie designs. And I am doing each of these scales by hand, and I regret my existence.
I can see right here, because I have the chat up over here, it looks awesome.
You do? Wow, thank you. I hate diamonds and triangles. They're bad shape.
That's got a good effect.
I feel like I did something wrong. No, I just moved into the next line. I forgot. Okay, I'm good.
So in terms of power set and ability and everything that's been designed here, my king, what do you think? Is this sort of what you were looking for? Have I missed anything that you really, really wanted for the character in terms of abilities or powers?
Have we done anything for the regular form?
No, I can build a character sheet for the regular form, but really a lot of it's probably just going to be a power level 1 or power level 2 character. And a lot of it's going to be plus zeros for things. I think you could just say the default is roll a d20, as opposed to roll a d20 plus bonus.
Okay.
I imagine that for most of the storytelling, the character is going to end up being in the super form for when things like combat or other situations matter.
Okay.
But again, if I'm wrong about that, please let me know and we can build that out. Otherwise, if you're cool with this, I'm thinking we're going to be heading into creating the Nemesis next.
Now, who did Freya not like? Let's think of that.
I defer to you on that again.
I don't.
Sure.
I don't know who Freya didn't like. She was a goddess of love. The only real myth I remember about her is people trying to get her to marry them, and she went, "No thanks."
Well, what if we go out of left field? What if we say that the person that's going against this person isn't because it's somebody that the patron didn't like, but what if it's a rival? So we built this character saying Silver Valkyrie is based on the classic Valkyrie, as the request was.
Yeah.
There are other mythologies where entities ferry things onto the afterlife, right?
Yeah.
What if we took and created somebody out of like Greco-Roman mythology, or took like even the classic Grim Reaper concept and made a character based on that as the one who opposes this one? Somebody who swoops in and takes the souls of the warriors, and instead of them getting to Valhalla, they get brought to some other hell instead.
I know that in Greek mythology, so what the term used for what mythological beings that ferry the dead are called psychopomps, and that's what Valkyrie is, a psychopomp. Oh, okay. And in Greek mythology, their psychopomp is Hermes, actually, the god, because that was part of his job, is that he'd carry souls to the underworld and transport them. So unless you want to make Apollo the enemy here, which you could. I mean, nowhere did it say that Hades was an asshole, but they made him an asshole in the in Mutants and Masterminds.
Picture, if you will,
Yes.
a new Reaper.
A new Reaper.
Maybe somebody who got their powers in a similar way. Their powers come to them when they pick up the staff, right? And what if they're young too, but neither of them knows that the other person
And they were schoolmates.
Oh, see, now you're getting into some drama.
And they were
territory.
schoolmates.
But let's say that they're both young. Neither of them knows that the other person has these powers, and they become rivalrous in that way. Maybe not outright enemies, but rivals. They're trying to outdo one another. Think like Sasuke Naruto, as opposed to like
the
Superman Lex Luthor.
And they were best friends.
Exactly. And then you've got these two people who have to deal with death in their own way. Because death's a part of the human condition. We'll have to deal with that, right? Mm-hmm. They're dealing with those concepts.
And they're 14.
And they're 14.
And go to school. These are middle schoolers. They haven't gotten to high school yet.
So I love that.
I love the concept that they are schoolmates and that they're rivals, but they don't know. So, like, they're best friends, but they're also, like, enemies in their alternate form.
Like star-crossed enemies.
Naruto and Sasuke much?
KingNerdly says, I love the power set and the creation. He says this is better than he imagined.
I am very glad that you like the product.
High praise indeed. Thank you, my king.
I would be upset at myself if you did not like it, and I'd have to redo it because I refuse to give you a product you do not enjoy.
I would also be upset with Katie.
The audacity.
You, I'm just palling around.
I know. We goof at each other.
We do.
We say mean things, but we don't really mean it.
Usually.
We're the best of friends. I mean, I mean it, but I don't mean it in a mean way.
Right, yes, of course. So, new portfolio, and let's build out the Reaper.
Now, what kind of person are you thinking of doing for that? Because there's a few...
archetypes, right? You could fall into some archetypes pretty easily.
Do you want to do like a classic Grim Reaper, or do you want to do a different kind of psychopomp?
No, see, I'm thinking classic Grim Reaper, like Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy level, like Grim
Jamaican
Reaper.
Grim Reaper.
Right? No, like the classic. I wear the hood. Like I've got the hood.
The more
I've got the staff. I've got like I flutter. I'm made of bones.
The more ominous psychopomp.
Yeah, and like, but the person is completely normal, like flesh, blood, 14, 15-year-old kid.
Narrow.
Until they pick up the Reaper staff, and then that just transforms them until they drop it.
This kid was just 14 when their parents found a very strange death site, and now they're death.
Oh, but like imagine like the transformation sequence. I picture something almost anime. It's like a horrific Sailor Moon sequence. they pick up the staff, they start spinning. There's ghosts and shit that start flying out.
There's like dark energy that's just spilling out.
Yeah.
Vague hoarse screams, and suddenly they don't have skin.
Hazel Half-Blood in the chat says she never knows it's him because of the hood, the drama.
He doesn't have skin. How was I supposed to know? The ultimate disguise.
No, man, I'd like to think that, like, if somebody skinned me, I'd still be recognizable. Like, I have a pretty distinct skull, right?
A distinct shape? We're all humans. We have the same shape.
That is true. We're all the same underneath. Once the cannibals are done with us.
Let's make that hair a bit darker.
Alright, we have the... I'm just going to call it the Reaper. Is that too on the nose?
No, that's fine.
Oh, man, actually...
What if they don't know their name and that's why they're just called the Reaper? Because it's just some person in a dark hood with a scythe.
That's
and
true.
They're just like, well, I've never gotten to ask their name because we're too busy trying to beat each other up.
What do you think of the name Scythe instead?
I mean, that's super edgy. This is
Right?
really Naruto Sasukeing it, huh?
Well, this is like middle school level edge. That's what we want.
That's right, they're middle schoolers. Oh my god, they were middle schoolers.
Like, they probably just go home and write, like, fan fiction about each other, because that's what I did when I was in middle school.
They go online and they find fan fiction about each other, and they're, like, horrified, but they keep reading because they're, like... in their heart, they're, like, they know. God. So, like, in Mutants and Masterminds, at least in, like, our games, there were, like, actual comics based on these people, like, the superheroes, which means, like... Do they read their own comics out of, like, curiosity of what these people are making about their lives?
I mean...
Do they read the fan... Because if that's the case, there's definitely fan fiction about them online. I can imagine that's a little weird.
We're like, you know, Yowie.
I hate it, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So enemy, and the enemy will be... the Silver Valkyrie.
So, how in-person edgy do you want Scythe to be? Because this is middle school, so you can go, like, real edgy, and no one's gonna bat an eye because we've all been there.
Well, to the point where I just added the complications. Would you like to hear?
Yes.
Complication number 1, enemy, the Silver Valkyrie. It's on the nose for a rival, but I don't care. Complication number 2, identity, secret. They don't want their best friend, the Silver Valkyrie, to find out.
Oh, damn. Are they secretly a fan of the Silver Valkyrie? Or
No. I have this vision in my head. Oh, it's diabolical. Where, and if I was the GM, this is how I would introduce this. They know that the Silver Valkyrie is the Silver Valkyrie. Because the Silver Valkyrie would have confided in them. And so the Silver Valkyrie has the man in the chair in this regard.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I see you see where I'm going with this now. But yet...
They never told their friends!
Scythe would never tell them because Scythe is forced by the curse to do dark things and would never want the judgment.
Oh my god. So the friend knows that they're fighting their friend.
Yeah.
The conflict, the drama. I'm a little bit more of a fan of, though, like, that they neither know, and then that something happens during a fight and they lose their powers and they're just looking at their best friend and they're like... That moment in anime when you realize your rival's been your best friend the entire time at, like, a super dramatic near-death moment or death moment. I'm a little bit of a fan of that, I have to admit.
That's how I see this going down.
Either way, this story ends well for no one,
mm-hmm.
and it's just an upsetting thing, but, like, it gets you. It hurts.
So, for the Reaper, I'm adding Death Touch because...
Death Touch is wild, man.
Death Touch is wild.
Death Touch is wild. Session 1, Death Touch, and someone's dead. We're off to a great start to the campaign.
Yup. So, Death Touch. We're also going to go with Flight.
So the Valkyrie herself is going to fly without the horse?
Not the Valkyrie. The Reaper.
Oh, the Reaper. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're on the side. We're at the rival now, not the actual hero.
Yes. Oh, our hero has been created and been approved by our patron this week, KingNerdly.
Whoop whoop.
Speaking of which, if anybody watching would like to get their idea out in front of us, you can submit all of your ideas at geekydoom.com. We have a submission button there. Just make sure that your concepts either fit into one of two categories, D&D 5th edition or Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition. You can be as verbose with your ideas you want, or as light. But if you're lighter, Cait and I get to be really creative, and that can be dangerous.
The more vague you are, the more liberties we have to take.
And liberties in this regard is a fancy way of saying fun.
Means I get to decide what color your outfit is. Yuck, yuck.
Actually, I want to give it Death Scythe as well.
Ooh. Does the scythe do anything special?
I'm not empowering the scythe. I picture this is the Reaper that, like, he accidentally touches you and you die.
Oh.
Like that concept you've seen in, like, multimedia before.
Does
where
that
it's, like,
carry over to the non-Reaper form for scythe?
No, I think it'd be in the Reaper form. It's just, I think that the scythe is the path to get from one way to the other.
I'm just imagining the angst when Silver Valkyrie finds out that her best friend is a bad guy.
Perhaps heads will roll.
Someone's dying. Need to change the...
Oh yeah. Death's Gate. You can open a portal into the realm of the dead, allowing you and others to pass through it. Of course, there is no assurance that you will necessarily be able to find somebody there or bring them back with you. The realms of the dead are often dangerous and ruled by beings who prefer to never let anyone leave. Yeah, absolutely that.
Make that color darker. I'm going to start heading into more pink tones for this.
Are we in the coloring phase now?
Yes, we are. We've been for a while. I got the hair, the helmet, the skin, and the chainmail covered.
Look at that. Looking nice.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm leaning more into the pink tones, unless I'm not specific. I don't, off the top of my head, know if Freya's specifically associated with any colors. So I'm just going, Goddess of Love, will make it pink.
That's the power of love. I've given the character Deathless, meaning that this character in their Reaper form just simply cannot die.
I mean, that's a way to do it.
Oh yeah.
Valkyrie can die, though.
Yes, and I think that I mean, there's some fundamental differences between the two, and that's what you want, right? You don't want them to be identical. That's like boring. That's exciting for no one.
One of them's a farrier of the dead. One of them is one that kills people.
Correct.
That's the difference in these two psychopomps.
Correct.
That's such a fun word, psychopomp.
I think the next thing I'm going to give it as another array, and this one's going to be called Blessings of Kratos.
Kratos is like... Who's Kratos?
Like a demon.
A demon, okay.
A dark entity in the Mutants and Masterminds mythos.
I remember a master mage using some spells from Kratos.
Yeah, there's some pre-made spells in the Power Profiles book that fall under the powers of Kratos. Some of them I'm going to be adding here.
Cool. I dig it.
So again, I picture this almost like infernal power that's conferred unto our villain here when they transform. So Chains of Kratos is a binding effect. It ties them up. Hazel Halfblood says her arms, though, and gives a heart eyes emoji.
Beef. 100% beef. I realized I've goofed up a hair because I used a saturation and brightness level alterator for the hair because I want to make it lighter, and I forgot that the regular form was on the same layer, so she now has like ash colored hair. I'm not sure if I like it or not. Jeremy, can you see it?
I can.
Do you think
I can see. I can't see the hair. I see. Oh, there it is.
This.
Yeah.
It look fine?
It looks fine to me. Yeah. I like it.
I kind of dig it. It was supposed to be like a dark brown.
Yeah, totally.
Actually, I can mess with it a little bit more. Change what hue it has. Yeah, I like that a bit better.
The Umbral Kraken of Kratos. It summons up a massive tentacled creature of darkness from the depths. It's the equivalent of a giant squid with insubstantial fore and burrowing instead of swimming if it's on land. There's no part of that sentence I don't love.
It's a big old squid. Squids are great.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone loves a good squid.
And it adds to that yaoi thing we were talking about earlier.
Shut up. First of all, it's not... This is a gal, so it wouldn't even be yaoi, so get out of here.
Is there a different word?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so ignorant in this culture. Could you please tell me?
Don't make me
Culture me, please, Cait.
Please don't make me say it. I don't want to have to say it.
I will not make you. I'm just curious. I'll have to Google that later.
No. Oh.
I'm gonna make this kid really smart.
That tells me a lot more about you that you only know the guy one.
It was on South Park. I'm gonna be completely honest.
Oh, okay.
That's how I know that. I played that South Park game, and you have to collect the yaoi of the two characters. I forget their names, but it was all over the game. It was a collectible thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I only know that word because I had some friends who were really into Naruto, and they were really into Naruto and Sasuke. That's how I know about that.
Gotcha.
I have a friend who's still mad about that. She's not happy who they ended up with at the end of the series.
Would her preference have been that the Naruto and Sasuke ended up together?
Yes. That would have been the preference for her.
Okay, wow. What is dead may never die. I'm boosting deception for this character because this character would have had to have deceived their friend all along.
The friend has to pretend to hate Scythe, but like, that's me.
KingNerdly says release the Kraken, and I could not agree more.
You know, Jerry, you know what I love about superheroes?
What's that?
Is how absolutely ridiculous their disguises are half the time. Like, Clark Kent's disguise is just he wears glasses. That's just it. That's all he's got. No one's figured it out.
Persuasion as well. We'll boost some persuasion here.
Like
persuasion. It's true. Though, in the classic Superman 1 movie, I will say this. The Christopher Reeve Superman does not look like the same guy when he's wearing glasses versus when he's not wearing glasses.
Oh, that guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's more like credit to the actor because that was a really good actor.
Agreed. Oh,
but like
agreed.
in general, glasses, like, they don't do much for you. It's me, Superman, and it's Clark Kent now. Like,
it's me, a Superman.
Like, if Lois Lane was sleeping with Clark Kent, how would she not know? How would she not?
That's a good point. I've given our villain here the attractive advantage. And the cool advantage.
Please elaborate on why you chose these. I have to know.
Because I picture that... first of all, Hazel in the chat says, "Who's the girl on the stream without the glasses?"
How dare you? How dare you? Anyway, so...
Elaborating, yes.
Yes, please elaborate on the attractive and cool.
Attractive and cool give you bonuses to some of your presence-based skills, like deception and persuasion, based on certain qualifications, like if somebody's attractive to you or finds you attractive, or if somebody finds you cool and are young enough to have that be something that affects them.
Only the teens are affected by cool. Them teens.
But hey, it helps you work with them youths.
The youth of today.
That's right. So we'll save the portfolio.
I feel so old saying it like that. The youth of today. Like, I'm not 20 years old.
Well, that's because you're not hip like me, Cait.
You just turned 31.
And I am still just as hip as I was when I was 20.
I wouldn't know, but I'll take your word for it.
I wasn't very hip when I was 20, so I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like...
Oh, buffoonery. I dig it.
Buffoonery indeed. Alright, let's take a look at that villain, Scythe. Alright, so Scythe, the opposer, has a different set of defenses. Scythe, not very good at dodging that one. Has ability scores that tend to be more focused on intelligence and presence and awareness as opposed to strength and stamina. So in some ways, the opposite of the Silver Valkyrie that we've created. Powers include the Blessings of Karkratos, giving the Chains of Karkratos the ability to tie somebody up with demonic chains.
You said the same name 2 different ways in the same sentence.
Who did? Did I?
You did, yeah.
I have no idea. The Crooked Path of Kratos. Teleport 10. Can step through shadows and move 4 miles in any direction as a movement action.
He's gone.
Oh yeah, just gone. Hounds of Kratos. Summon 10. You can summon a group of these shadowy hounds. And then Umbral Kraken of Kratos, as described before, lets you summon a giant kraken that can move through the ground, made of shadow. The Reaper gives the ability to sense the dead, sense how dead somebody is. Provide a death touch attack, which they have to make a Fortitude DC 20 check or become impaired, disabled, or dying. If you fail 4 times, you're out. Death's Gate allows you to summon portals to the realm of the dead. Deathless means that there's no permanent death. They come back after an hour. And then Flight. They can fly at 120 miles an hour.
Cool.
They have that cool and they have that attractive bonus. And there's that. And so with that, we have a villain matching in terms of potency and strength compared to our hero, the Silver Valkyrie.
Well, I am still coloring.
We still have a full 20 minutes, so don't worry, you have plenty of time.
I can finish shading. If not, well, we'll upload the finished version afterwards if I don't get the chance to finish this on stream. But I will try to.
I don't know, Kate, I could sit and watch you draw all day.
I have been told that before. There goes the air center in the background.
Okay. Well, I'm going to open back up the other portfolio here. Let's do a little bit with this backstory. So what is it you are doing now, Kate?
I am still coloring. I'm coloring. I've gotten most of the Silver Valkyrie form colored. I'm coloring the regular form right now.
I love the color pink that you chose.
Yes, it's a good pink.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's too bright. The white, that. What you working on now, Jeremy?
A poem, Kate.
Ooh. I'd love to hear it when you're done.
Sure. Here you go. I'll give you the first 2 stanzas.
Ooh.
A wounded bird that falls to the ground, struck by a hand that should but love. knows not yet her fate song's sound, but has been seen by Freya above. In her mercy, ours the goddess true, in wisdom saw what she must do, gave the gift unto Eva for eternity. She arose anew, the silver Valkyrie.
I like it
It's
a
a work
lot.
in progress, but we're getting there.
There's the emotional heft to it. I like it.
Hazel in the chat asks, is there a way to break Scythe's curse?
I suppose that'd be something you have to figure out in game, right?
It's something game, but let me put on my GM hat for a moment and think about that. I think the only path for redemption for Scythe would be if there was some kind of divine intervention, right? The binding, almost the curse, since we involved Carkratos with this, I think almost like the binding curse that's involved there would require some kind of holy entity in order to fracture. So you would need some kind of godly intervention or angelic intervention in order to be able to break that. But wouldn't that be interesting, right? Because then that could become part of the story arc that you build in for Ava's character, where suddenly she's trying to free her friend. Because Ava's got this relationship now with Freya, who is in fact a goddess. And Freya may have the ability to break or fracture that binding, but Ava doesn't know yet that it's her friend that's cursed. And her friend is sort of walking alone in that dark path. I mean, you could write a whole comic book on a topic like that. That's a story that really writes itself at that point. That's awesome. Great. I got the final stanza of the poem.
Lay it on me.
Oh, I put the wrong word in there. Give me 1 second to correct my mistake. A chorus of voices ring out in the night, and summon from Valhalla the Valkyrie. They raise their weapons, prepare to fight. Eva flies with them, for all to see. And that'll be on the character sheet now for our hero. So we're talking about like the doomed friendship angle. I really appreciate that we went there though, instead of going to like the doomed lover angle that you always see things like this devolve into, right?
It always happens.
Yeah, it's like it's so cliche at this point. It's like, oh yeah.
Plus, like the best friends angle is so cool.
Yeah, to me, it has
and
a
they were
deeper meaning,
friends,
right?
Is mine? Okay, my pen wasn't working for a second. But yeah,
like,
best friends are good.
Yeah, to me, like the best friends angle has a deeper meaning, right? It's like that's somebody that you truly trust and somebody that you have such a history with. Because we could say, man, they've been together since kindergarten, or maybe even before that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like to not feel like they could, for Scythe to not feel like Scythe could bring that burden forward, becomes this big thing that they have to carry on their own. And then when the reveal happens, the sense of betrayal that might exist there, or even if Eva goes in a different direction, the sense of forgiveness that comes up, both have this overwhelming, like, emotional force behind it, this impact. It's not something that you just shake off at that point, one way or the other. It's something that stays with you.
Yeah. Plus, like, friends are good.
Yeah.
Like, the importance of friends is always, it feels like it's underestimated. That's why things like the power of friendship exist. Because friendship's just good. It's good, guys.
My friends mean the world to me. I'd do anything for them.
Aw, thanks.
Bold of you to assume we're friends. I love you, Cait. Please don't get mad.
In front of people who don't know us, you roast me.
I don't mean to. You know I don't mean that.
I know.
Yeah, I think this is good. I think we have a character sheet that works here at that point.
I'm in the shading stage right now.
You're throwing shade?
I'll throw shade at you, Jeremy, if you want that.
Wink.
I destroy you.
I know.
I'm
not poking that bear. Ooh, I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna double check the minion while I'm here, just to make sure that the horse is what I want it to be. I do this, especially if it's my character. I go back through and I rework a character sheet over and over. I'll play with details, right up until game time. In some instances, it's just like depending on what the GM allows. It's like I want it to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Hey Jeremy, you know what I think is funny about Mutants and Masterminds and like minions?
What's that?
Is that like vehicles are minions.
Yeah.
I think that's amazingly hilarious. Is it
because
like
of the way the rules work around it? It's really interesting, right?
It's like my car is a minion that I have.
Yep. Have you looked at the ship rules that was in this the Saltmarsh book for 5th edition?
I have not.
So I was looking at that recently for another campaign altogether, and the way that boats are structured in there, they're given initiative, they're given health for different components, they're given armor class for different components. So like the hull of a ship has an armor class and a health of its own. The rudder of a ship, the oars, the mast and the sails, the weapons, and it's like, so the way that ship combat works is you attack various components of another ship to take them down. But it acts very similar to the minion system in regards to like vehicles.
Yeah.
As what Mutants and Masterminds does, and I found that to be very interesting.
We've never really used vehicle. We've never really touched on those in game. Can you talk about it a bit more?
Which game?
Our Freedom City Waifus game.
Yeah.
That's what, for listeners, that's what we call our home game. That me, Jeremy, and then my sister and Jeremy's fiance Avery, who are moderating the chat right now, play together.
So, yeah, sure. So vehicles in that instance operate very similar to the minion horse that I created here for the Silver Valkyrie, in that you give them power boosts. So you could say, you can just very similar to how you create a character, you can modify any value that has. So if you want to give it a particular power, you could take a motorcycle, for example, as a template. You could throw something like a flame power onto it. Now you've got Ghost Rider's motorcycle. You could do something like that. You could add speed to it because speed's one of the powers you have, and so you can increase how fast a vehicle can go. If you wanted to build a tank, you could increase its defense and add an attack component to it. Now you've built a tank out in terms of character sheet design. And on and on and on. So if you wanted to build your own like Death Star or other super weapon, like say you're a supervillain, you want to build the floating Tower of Doom, that's how you go about doing that.
Ooh.
You can just tack on superpowers or other abilities. It's a really good question.
Yeah. Didn't you give us a really cool super-powered car, and then we immediately lost it because it turned into an actual fox and ran off into the woods, and we found it crashed into a tree and died?
That is how that happened, yes. So the car that I created for you guys had an alternate form ability. So the car had a switch that would allow it effectively to become... It was designed for a character who was fox-based with their powers.
Yeah.
And so the car itself was designed to look like a fox. Think something like the Batmobile, but fox-themed. And you pulled this lever, and the car would get up and be able to just leap like a fox would over traffic. And the design was, you're a superhero, there's an emergency in Freedom City, but it's 5 o'clock on a Friday. Everything's gridlocked with traffic. You can leap over the traffic. That was the design.
It was made for a character who didn't know how to drive. She didn't have her driver's license, nor how to drive, which was the funnier part of that.
That does happen. I mean, if superheroes were real, presumably.
And it's just here, I made you a supercar. Cool! And she was just I don't know how to drive. Darling Kitsune. That car was made, it had the alternate form because it was made from my character's, I think, DNA or something, right? One of the NPCs took some of my DNA and made a car out of it.
Right.
Dig it. didn't even ask me first. The audacity, you know?
So, KingNerdly, I really hope we do get a chance to play with Eva in the near future. I am titillated by the idea of seeing this character in an actual story, especially when we've started talking about some of the ways that we could play this character off of others. I mean, not even including Scythe, just some of the concepts of what this character might have to struggle with internally, given the backstory that you've provided. With the family life being so rough, and with them being so young and having this alternate form and responsibility. I'm digging everything about that. Like, I think that this is a really well-crafted character concept. We've had a lot of fun building it so far, so thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Hazel Halfblood asks in the chat, can you make any special items like that? Yes. So not just cars, not just vehicles, but you can absolutely make any item that you think of. So think about your classic comic book items, right? Like Thor's hammer Mjolnir. You could make Mjolnir. You would give it additional strike attack damage, like what I added to the spear that you saw us create tonight. You could give it the returning property, just like what we gave the shield that the Silver Valkyrie has. And between those two things, you have this item that can do that. Using the feature ability, you can continue to add features to it such that nobody can lift Thor's hammer.
But Thor.
But Thor, or the one who is worthy of the power of Thor. Say like Vision, for example. But you could add that in, and on and on and on. Say you wanted to add like the lightning strike, now you can add a lightning blast power. Now that lightning blast power is something that you can use while you are wielding the hammer.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah. Think like your classic, if you're thinking like your classic enemy minions to like a supervillain, what do they often have? Laser guns. Same concept. You take and apply the blast power to the gun, and it'd be a lower level one depending on how powerful the laser actually is. Typically they're not firing off blasts like what Superman can do with his eye lasers. Lower level stun, maybe even just a stun gun. Maybe it's not just a damaging thing, it might just be a stunning thing. Really good question, thank you. KingNerdly says that he is excited to play the character too. Oh yeah, totally, man. It's gonna be a good time. I absolutely cannot wait for that. Especially where, in my world, we've got all kinds of interesting elements of mythos surrounding the gods. I sort of wrote a lot of stuff on my own, which is why I struggle with the true lore about deity pantheons, is because it's like so much I've homebrewed at this point. It's hard to remember what I've homebrewed versus what's the actual mythology and lore.
I remember that you put Odin in a toga and I thought it was Zeus.
Yeah. For example, at one point Odin appeared in a toga where they were at. And
my thought was, why is Zeus in England? He doesn't live here.
Yeah, so things like that happen. But just given the way that mythology is structured, it'd be really cool to bring a character like that in to shake things up, which would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, super fun.
Super fun. I see what you did there. Alright, so we're actually 3 minutes out from ending our stream. Does anybody have any other questions, or does anybody have anything else they'd like us to go over in terms of mutants for this session? Any last thoughts, KingNerdly?
I'm still shading.
No worries. Like we said, anytime that one of us doesn't complete, if I don't complete a character sheet or Kate doesn't complete art on the stream, we're still going to complete it. We'll be publishing everything to Materios.com. We have a section there for Character Crockpot, so all of our episodes will be linked there. We link out to our podcast form, and we put all of the character sheets up there. For every character sheet, we're also taking Kate's awesome art, and we're going to be creating tokens from that, a wallpaper, both for mobile and for computer, and a download of the character sheet.
Yeah, so you get the full package, even if it's not your character. You still get access to it.
Absolutely. Like Dungeon Masters, take note, if you need a bunch of NPCs, this archive is just going to keep growing.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Well, Cait, do you have any last thoughts for people?
I like drawing. I like the concept of a more interesting outfit, because so oftentimes with superheroes you get just skin tight outfit, and that's not super fun. I like doing things more interesting, like a Viking warrior outfit. I definitely enjoy concepts like this a whole lot, and I'm happy we got to do this one.
Yeah, I'm digging it. I love your design. I can see where drawing all of those triangles are a little, I can see how it might be a little time consuming to do so, but it comes out so cool.
Yeah. And the simple shading I do on that with the blur tool and some dark and light mainly make it look good, I think.
Absolutely.
Right, so I will finish this up afterwards, and then we can
we have a final thought from KingNerdly. KingNerdly says, "You guys rock. Full package. That's what she said." Thank you, KingNerdly. I appreciate you. All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I hope everybody has a wonderful night, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.